It is said that there is a special connection between twins, and even if one of them dies, this connection will not be broken. But do you know what kind of serious consequences this connection will have? Quickly tag your most courageous and fiercest friend to watch it together. The incident happened in my hometown Kaishu village. At that time, Li Zongping from the village took out a loan to buy a truck for transportation. That night he pulled a truck of goods. In order to save some highway fees, he drove the cart to a small road in the countryside. Because he had driven the car all day, he was already a little rich. At this time, a teenager appeared on the small road, but he didn't notice it at all when the car drove up. By the time they found him, it was too late. Anyone who has driven a large truck knows that a truck weighing dozens of tons cannot be stopped. Li Zongping stepped on the brakes desperately, but failed to stop the car. In addition, the small road was full of sand and gravel, which was very easy to slip. The car rushed out directly, and when it stopped, it had already rushed 50 or 60 meters. Li Zongping got out of the car tremblingly, praying non-stop, "Please don't get into trouble, please don't get into trouble." But when he saw the tragic scene behind the car, his heart trembled, thinking, "It's over, everything is over." The young man was lying straight on the ground. There were traces of being run over all over his body. It was clear that he had no chance of survival. Li Zongping bought his car with a loan, and the down payment was borrowed from relatives and friends. He knew that if he was caught, not only would he lose his car, but he would also not be able to pay the huge compensation. Thinking of this, he looked around the small road and found no surveillance cameras. He ran away against his conscience. He cleaned up the blood stains on the car, found a parking lot, parked the car and went home, but something happened that night. After returning home, he did not tell his wife about the incident, but he looked distracted and soon got angry. His wife noticed something unusual and asked him if he was hiding something from her. But Li Zongping had made up his mind not to tell anyone about this. At this moment, the door of his house suddenly rang, making a knocking sound. He felt guilty at the time, so he sent his wife away and carefully went to the door to see. But he didn't expect that when he saw the man outside through the cat's eye, he almost scared himself to death. The person standing outside the door was the boy he had hit to death, looking at him viciously through the cat's eye. Li Zongping was so scared that he stepped back again and again. He knew that the boy he had run over was the one who had been killed by him. There is no possibility of survival in the year, but what about the person outside the door now? Li Zongping, his wife saw that he kept knocking on the door, but he didn't open the door, so she came to ask him what was going on. Li Zongping couldn't answer and kept hesitating. His wife was more certain that he was hiding something from her, so she went to open the door to see who it was. Li Zongping was so scared that he quickly grabbed his wife and said that the person outside the door was not a person but a ghost that he had hit to death. He couldn't hide it anymore, so he had to tell her the story, but his wife didn't believe it, so she went to the door to look through the peephole. Sure enough, she saw a gloomy-faced young man named Zheng Yue. He left in a very stiff posture. His eyes were full of resentment, which made people's scalps numb. From that day on, Li Zongping's family would hear the sound of knocking on the door every night. There was no peaceful day. Every day, the boy would come to knock on the door, and each time it would last for several hours, which made Li Zongping and his wife nervous all day long. He himself thought, could it be that the boy was not dead, or the person knocking on the door was not him? Maybe all this was his own illusion, but the boy outside the door was crushed to death by him, and there was no mistake, because he would never forget that face in his life. The daily torture caused Li Zongping to have a mental breakdown, and he couldn't bear it anymore. Once, he was tortured so much that he pushed open the door when the boy knocked on him, thinking that even if he died, he didn't want to live like this anymore. But when he opened the door, he was even more scared, because the corridor was empty and dark, and there was no one. The courage that Li Zongping mustered disappeared all at once. The corpse ghost he faced, the omnipotent Wang soul passed by. This time, Li Zongping felt that the inner ghost didn't seem to dare to face him, but he didn't expect that as soon as the couple returned to the house. He saw the young man coming in through the window and trying to kill his 3-year-old son. He looked full of resentment, as if he wanted to strangle the child to death. When the couple came in, the ghost walked away slowly, but from the resentful look, Li Zongping knew that he would never let go. He also knew that if he was not punished, his family would never have peace in their lives. For the sake of his wife and children, he finally chose to surrender. At the end of the case, he told the police that he had a request. "I just want to say sorry to the dead boy. I hope that the boy and his family can forgive me and not to implicate his family." In fact, the police can understand his request. Although he escaped selfishly and cowardly, he finally stood up bravely for his family. Later, according to the clues provided by Li Zongping, the police found the victim's family. But when the police tentatively mentioned the suspect's strange experience during this period to the family, the parents of the deceased became at a loss and sighed deeply. It turned out that the dead child had a younger brother. They were twins. The two looked the same, but their personalities were very different. On the day of the accident, the younger brother participated in a sports competition at school, and the older brother had an accident when he came back. The whole family was in a mess when the bad news came. The two brothers had a deep relationship, and the younger brother did not accept this fact and cried for many days. But on the 7th day, when the parents came to the younger brother's room, they found that the younger brother was drawing with the older brother's drawing board and brush. Moreover, the younger brother did not like drawing since he was a child, but only liked sports. His expression and language were exactly the same as his brother. The parents also felt that this was the brother's return. From that day on, the older brother would go out every night, and the family did not know where he went. After repeated questions, he just said that he wanted revenge, and he did it every day without fail. No one could stop him. The child's mother knew that it was not the younger brother who went out every night, but his eldest son. Just as several people were talking about this matter, the door suddenly opened. It turned out that the younger brother came back from school. He greeted his mother enthusiastically, but at this time, the younger brother's face suddenly sank, and he changed to another low tone to talk to his parents. The police knew that something was wrong at first glance. When he returned to the house, they told the couple that the brother would go to where he should go sooner or later. If he didn't leave, he might be in trouble. After saying this, Shen Juni took out a talisman and handed it to them, and also told them how to use the talisman and the benefits and disadvantages. But for the poor parents, this is probably the most difficult choice. For the dead child, returning to their side in this way, the parents may get spiritual comfort, but can they make a choice to accept the heart-wrenching separation again?